Morning, guys. All right, so I've got a set of videos for you today. We're going to be talking about different ways to display your data, kind of like the data that you collected for your project last week. And the way we display it is like a bar graph, a circle graph, but I'm going to be showing you some different ones that you haven't learned yet. So the first one I have for you is called a stem and leaf plot. So I've got a whole bunch of numbers here, just like if you collected it for your project. And always the very first thing that I need to do is put my numbers in order from least to greatest. So I'm going to go through my list. I'm going to reorder them, just like you did for your project. So in your practice today, you're going to have some problems just like this. So again, first order of business whenever you get a set of data like this is go through and put it in order from smallest to biggest. And again, I like to cross off the numbers as I go just so I don't miss anything. If you like that too, awesome. All right, I'm into 20s. Okay, so now I've got all my numbers in order from least to greatest. That's always really helpful. Okay, for a stem and leaf plot, it's a super easy way to display your data. And so what I've got going on here is I'm going to have a line. On one side is my stem. I'll explain that in a minute. And on one side is my leaf. You never have to write those words. I'm just writing those for you guys right now just so you can understand what's happening. All right, now my stems are going to be the numbers that are in the tens place. Okay, so I'm just going to write that. Number in tens place. And then the leaf is going to be the number in the ones place. All right, so what this means is, let's say I pick a number from my list. Let's say I just take this guy. I'm going to put the number 20 down here just to show you as an example. Okay, so in the number 20, the number 2 is in the tens place, so that would be my stem. And the number in the ones place, that would be my leaf. So how we organize these numbers is kind of like we're breaking them apart. So the stems that I'm always going to have are 0. 0 would mean if I have a number that's smaller than 10. 1 would be all of my numbers like 11, 12, 13, all of my teens. 2 would be all of my 20s. 3 is my 30s. And 4 is my 40s. Okay, so I've got my stems here. Now all I have to do is go through and write my leaves down. So if I look up here, I said 0 is any number that is less than 10. So I've got all of these numbers right here that are less than 10. So I'm just going to write those all out in a list. Okay, so that means I have a 1. I have a 1. I don't even need commas between them. I have another 1. I have a 2, a 2. I have a 5. I have a 5, and I have a 7. Okay, those are all of my single digit numbers. Okay, now 1 would have been 11, 12, and all of my teens. Now when I look at my list, I don't have any numbers that have a 1 in the tens place, so I don't write anything down there. Now 2, I see I have a 20. Now what I'm going to do is I have a 2 here that goes for the 2 and the 20. And for the leaf, I'm just going to write the number that's in the ones place, which is a 0. Then I go to the next 20. This is 27. Now I don't worry about the 2 because the 2 is already here in my stem, but I'm going to write down the number 7. So this means I've got 20 and I have the number 27 in my list. All right, I'm going to do the same thing for 30s. So 30, I'm going to only write down the 0. For 32, I'm only going to write down the 2. For 38, I'm only going to write down the 8. If you like putting commas in between these numbers just to remember that they're all separate, you can do that. All right, and then same with 40s. 40 just gets a 0 because I've got the 4 here, and then a 7 for 47. So the purpose of this is to like break your numbers down so it's a little bit easier to see like which area you have more of one number than the other. Like definitely I've got like a lot on the lower end of my scale compared to the higher numbers. But it's just a way to show your numbers. So if I were to pick a number, like let's say I was looking at this 3 with this 8, that would mean 38. Okay? So stem and leaf plot. Not too challenging. It's just the whole stem and leaf that you've got to get used to. Okay? So I'm just going to write down here on the side as an example. Like if I have the number 5, the 5 is in the ones place, so that would be the leaf. And there's always like, you could always put a 0 in front of any number. Kind of sometimes when you see it for like a birth date, sometimes you'll see that they put a 0 in front of your birth date if it's less than 10, and that 0 is your stem. Okay? All right, so you've got a couple problems that you're going to make your own stem and leaf plot with today. So reference this video if you need help.